All right.
Well, all right.
Yeah. So excited. 8 o'clock sharp. Dr. Deedra Mason in the house.
Cullen good to be here, Cullen. Excited to see everyone joining us. Getting excited, especially for such a big night, right? We're really excited about all of the things that are happening tonight.
Absolutely. Very, very, very excited. And excited that you guys are joining us here tonight. So those of you joining us, whether you're on our Zoom station or you are on our Facebook Live session, go ahead and throw in the comments or the chat where you are joining us from this evening. It's always really cool to kind of see where everybody's tuning in from. Got New Hampshire in the house, Wisconsin, another New Hampshire.
We got a Greensboro in there. All right.
We did. Greensboro.
Home team. Good to see
Another
you.
New Hampshire. Philadelphia.
Malaysia. I love it. It's wonderful being a global company. That's it. This is fantastic.
Anybody can join us from anywhere at any time that we're on, making it happen. Well, listen, congratulations to everybody for being on with us here tonight. As you guys know, this is our Master UFO Action Plan series that we do. And tonight, Dr. Deedra and I are very excited to bring tonight's session to you guys, because we're going to be talking about some of the top common questions, objections, and or maybe myth busting.
I love myth busting. That's one of my favorite things to do with everyone, Cullen. I love it.
I know. I'm so excited because, you know, it's great because anytime people are in the volley, which means they're in the conversation, or as JR loved to call it, the dance. So as we're dancing with people and having conversation, how do we not get in our head, but fall into our heart and know how to have a great conversation with people without getting defensive, but also being able to like have some posture and understand what is and what isn't, right?
I agree.
That's it. Well, one of the first things we want to do as we kick this off, folks, is we're going to do a little recognition with everyone. And in doing so, as you guys know, we've had a 53 challenge happening for the late, great, amazing Dennis Franks, who is a mentor to so many of us. I know many of you that are on the line with us. I know Dr. Deedra, myself, huge impact in all of our lives. And so this challenge has been all about him. And we want to acknowledge some people who are on the leaderboard from some of our different markets. So let's kick it off and look at Australia. These are some of the main leaders rocking in Australia. Look at Canada, and this is a weekly leaderboard. Let me point that out. So these are people that are hitting it for this past week, and so therefore rocking it out and growing their business in Canada. Hong Kong, way to go, Hong Kong. And then we have Malaysia bringing it in, awesome as well. Main leaders, movers and shakers. Singapore, congratulations to everyone in Singapore. And then we have Taiwan, of course, moving and shaking as well. And then we will wrap it up with the United States. So as we look at the United States, many people in the United States moving and shaking and achieving levels of success with their business. And huge congratulations to each and every one of you for making that happen. And you know what, Dr. Deedra, as we get into this, some people who are on the line here tonight may be a guest and they may not know who you are. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe take 30 seconds or so and share who you are.
You got it, Cullen. It is great to see everybody on that leaderboard and see everyone here with us today. My name is Dr. D, or as I like to go, Dr. D. Formerly, I am known as Dr. Deedra Mason. I am our Vice President of Product Development and Clinical Education. I'm an unfranchised owner, and as a clinician, have used these products in practice for years. So it's absolutely my pleasure to be here and hopefully be a great co-host with my good friend, Cullen.
Well, fantastic. Super excited to have you on the line with us here today. I am Cullen Haskins. I am the director of the Global Meeting Training Seminar System, or GMTSS, as we refer to it. My wife, Trinity, and I have been with the Unfranchised for over 20 4 years, and we built this thing within a couple of short years when we started 24 years ago, and we've been blessed to be able to raise our 5 amazing kids with this business as full-time business owners with the company and full-time parents for over 23 years now, 22 years. It's been a blessing, you guys. So we're going to share some of our best tips with you guys on some frequently asked questions, myth busting, and all of that. Couldn't be more excited. So let's talk about it. One of the top ones that can come up for people for time to time is this a pyramid?
Yep.
It's kind of a fascinating question when you think about it, because every corporate structure in the world is structured and looks like a pyramid. That's the oldest structure in the world. Every company, every business, every church organization, you name it. I mean, everything looks like a pyramid. So a lot of times I think when somebody says this to me, Dr. D, I always ask them, can I ask you a question about that? And they say, sure. And I say, thank you. I'm always very cordial is my first tip for everybody. The more nice you can be to people, let's face it. And when was the last time somebody said please or thank you to you, Dr. D, in the last couple of weeks? If you really stop and think about it, probably not
It's a total novelty. It's a total novelty, and it's a serious attention grabber, right? Kindness, space to be yourself. That is something that is so novel today in a text world that the relationship is already off to a great start simply by being present with them. I agree completely.
That's right. That's right. So I think it's great to say, are you asking me, is it structured like a pyramid? Or are you asking me, is it like a pyramid scam or something like that? Like, what do you really mean? And they're like, well, like a scam. And I'm just like, do you think I would do something that's illegal? And you do it with a smile, you do it with a little giggle, and they're just like, yeah, no, but, and then it's just like, oh, okay, so was it something I said? Because this is another key element too.
Yeah.
And everything that anytime somebody's coming with a question or a concern, something like that, I do think it's awesome for every single one of us. And that means everyone listening. That means me. That means Dr. D. It's great to actually ask ourselves, what am I saying or doing that's provoking that response from people? And is it something I could tweak? Because why do they feel like that? Or is it something I'm doing? Or is it that person's default question for anybody that's doing anything as a business owner? Because maybe they're very traditional thinking and they're more employee mindseted person, which is not about right or wrong. It's just about who they are, like recognizing who people are and why do they think how they think, right?
Right. Cullen, I love that you mentioned language and how important language is, because it is often something that we need to not internalize, but we need to turn internally and ask ourselves, just as you said, what am I saying? Because often common language within network sales, distribution models, even affiliate marketing are things like get in, right? And just simply by tweaking some of the words that we choose to use, opening an account. I often, Cullen, instead of talking about points or BV points, which is often done in small business relationships and referral marketing and affiliate and network sales, somehow points get in there and viscerally people have a reaction to what that might mean. And really what we're talking about is associated revenue. What we're really talking about is multiple ways that individuals are earning income today, right? We often talk about distributors, and that language can simply be moved to a small business owner, right? We talk about our business partners and referral marketing, right? I think there's language plays such a powerful role in this when we can use words that are professional rather than words that we know that people have a visceral reaction to.
So great. I absolutely agree. And I think it's also important to recognize, because everyone we're speaking with is coming from their past experiences and their life that's happened to them. They're going to bring that baggage or that luggage to the table in their mind. And so even though it's a new conversation, or it's a new conversation for you, for them, it could be the same thing they bring to everybody as far as a question or a concern or something like that. But I do think it's easy to have a couple little zingers. I call them zingers. But a zinger is actually the company is, A+ rated with the Better Business Work Bureau. We've won the Torch Award for trust, performance, and integrity. Is integrity important to you? And then the person has to answer the question. They say, absolutely important to me. That's why I was asking you if this was some kind of a pyramid, scam type situation. I said, absolutely not. And I said, I can also promise you've never been featured on an episode of American Greed either. Isn't that exciting? And then I joke with people because, when you can get people to laugh, right, D? If you get them to laugh, then the wall comes down. They go, okay, this guy isn't going to be this intense, like Jedi trying to convince me that I, should be interested in his business. He was just trying to share information with me. Why am I being so defensive? Right.
Right. And I do think, again, that personal relationship, that learning more about an individual, that idea of like making jokes, and some of my favorite ways to make jokes when we are overcoming obstacles is actually self jokes, right? Making fun of myself, because then everybody knows it's okay to laugh at me. It's okay for us to be informal about this. It's okay to ask me questions. I'm approachable, right? It's okay to pull away a concern that they have of being overly critical by inviting a conversation, because they may feel that they don't want to say something or hurt your feelings. And so we need to be really open to having the conversation here and making sure that we are approachable in regards to this, right? But also affiliating ourselves with the things that make sense to them, that they know and like, right? And that's why language is so powerful. Talking about our awards can be so incredibly powerful.
100%, 100%. And what about this one? Is it multi-level marketing? I don't really get anybody who's asking me, is it Amway or is it Mary Kay Makeup, or nobody's going after companies that, specific or anything like that. For me personally, and most people don't even ask me, is it multi-level marketing? But I also think a piece of that is because I don't use that kind of language. I'm using more like franchising type terminology, because that's why we're the unfranchised. We're more like a brick and mortar or digital marketing type company than we are a multi-level marketing company. But the flip side of it is, again, it's not something we have to get defensive about. Every business pretty much is structured as a multi-level type way they compensate. When I worked for Bayer Pharmaceutical as a maintenance mechanic, and I started with the company as a utility operator, which is really a glorified term for janitor. And then I was cleaning stuff and cutting grass and doing all this stuff. And then I went into the manufacturing. I was manufacturing the product in the pharmaceutical facility. But then I found out how much the maintenance people were making. Well, all it was another level in the company of compensation. Right. And then I thought, cool, if I could fix stuff. So then I went into maintenance, and it was the highest paying job outside of upper management. And then that's where I was when I started with the unfranchised. But see, every company has to compensate based on value of that position within the company. And if it's a sales company, of course, then yeah, you're going to get into levels and percentages. You're going to get into, real estate companies, insurance sales, home-based multi-level marketing companies. But again, is the question coming from a place of concern that they don't like multi-level marketing companies, or they don't like their job maybe? But I will say, I'm not a fan of coming after a person who's asking me because that makes them defensive, as if I'm coming at them. But what I will do, to Dr. D, to your point, is I will reflect back on me and what I just shared with you guys about my experience with the pharmaceutical company, because now I've established common ground. Number one thing with people and conversations, you guys, is establishing a common ground to where then they can say, oh, that makes sense. What you just said about your job, that's kind of what I do too. And so therefore it's all great, right?
And I think it's a really powerful thing to do, what you said about talking about the common ground and really exposing the common ground, because, we often talk about not majoring in the minors. We share far more similarities, right? Whether it is in upward mobility, whether it is in family time balance, we share more of these similarities. And so sometimes talking about that story, telling your story, talking a little bit about how you actually were, you came to view the company that you now work with. And that story allows them to say, that's something similar to me. It's one of the things I love about Cullen is, understanding his story helps me understand not just where he comes from, but why he does what he does. He often talks about time freedom. He often talks about the value of being able to spend time with his family. And it immediately steals anyone's the wind in that sail that says you're just talking about getting rich off the backs of other people, right? Because what he talked about was a value proposition that made that created an amazing amount of quality of life for him. And then people say, I want more of what you have. People like to be like people that are liked, or like people that they like. And so when we can create a conversation about how we came to find ourselves working with a company, sharing information with people, helping people, giving people agency to assist themselves towards better health, better wealth, improving their daily routines, we end up wanting to be around those types of people.
Absolutely. Love that.
I love this one. Do I have to sell anything? Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. This is a business. It can be a small business. It can be a big business. How do you define yourself? Are you an enterprise, or are you a one-to-one marketer? Cullen, I don't know about you, but often when people talk about, do I have to sell anything? I often find that what they're asking is, what are my potential expenses? Is this going to cost me money? If we can work to share with people or listen for what may be between the lines there. Do I have to sell anything? Well, yes, we're talking about earning an income, right? But what they're asking also in between that, underneath that, is what are my potential expenses, right? What are the legitimacy of the products? What is your experience with them? Because we've all met someone that has something that they'd like to recommend, but doesn't have a personal story, right? They're what we would consider unaffiliated with their brand. And then there are people that are very heart-centered, very heart-driven, and are very much affiliated with their brand, are attached, right? Or directly connected to the products that they sell. And that is very much evident when you're talking to someone, your experience, the results that you've received, what you've done for another person, the kinds of testimonials or stories that you get back. Because what customers are asking for, what prospective business owners are asking for is this legitimate? Will I gain back those potential expenses? And just how big are those potential expenses? Your experience, Cullen?
Yeah, well, with me, piggybacking on exactly what you're saying, ultimately, I think it's great to get to the root of where the question is coming from, to your point, because you could say to somebody, well, of course, there's sales involved because it is a business, but can I ask you a question? And they say, yes. Say, thank you. And you say, what's been your experience with sales? Do you love sales?
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll find is many people will say, oh, I love sales. But I didn't know if it was a sales opportunity or if it was just more of a management. Is it like a job or is it sales? So that's why I was just asking the question. You'd be like, oh my gosh. But see, mentally, our brain was giving energy to the fact that maybe they don't want to like sales. Well, you don't know until you ask the question. But if they come back and say, no, I don't like sales, then I will say, why is it you don't like sales? Is there something that's happened in your past that makes you feel like sales is not a good thing? Or what feeling has come up? I'm trying to go after a feeling here, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of time there's something that's happened in someone's past and a sales experience situation that they didn't like or agree with, and like vowed to themselves that they would never treat somebody how they were treated in that moment. But what's
Right.
fascinating is I look at those experiences, Dr. D, when you really unpack it, and I say, I've had some bad experiences, but I don't say that was sales. I say that was a bad sales technique, or maybe a bad person who doesn't know how to do sales, because sales
Mhm.
is all about adding value to people and then moving a product or a service. And people don't have an issue. People are constantly consumers of products and
Right.
services. So clearly they're being sold to all the time. The question is, how are you making them feel in that product purchase?
It's funny because you had said, do you like to sell? And if somebody says no, the first thing that crossed my transom was, well, do you like to buy? Right? Like, what
Sure.
is that experience? What is that experience like? And how can we recreate that experience? Because I get it. You may have had a bad experience with sales, or how you feel when somebody sells to you, as opposed to uh talks to you, kind of finds out what is the best solution for you, right? Water loves to find the easiest route, the path of least resistance. It's okay to ask, what is the path of that least resistance, right? How do we make this within reach for you? And the best way to do that is to ask, just as Colin said, can I ask you a question? Can I be, can we be frank with one another? By the way, don't ever ask if you can be honest with someone. They say, why are you not normally honest?
Right.
Right? Can I be,
100%.
can I
100%.
ask, can I be frank with you? Right?
Yes.
Um, often people have a bad taste in their mouth about selves. The best thing is to get underneath the reason why. So can I be frank with you? And normally people are like, well, yeah, of course you can be frank with me. And now we're having a conversation, right? Now we're willing to be open with each other, right?
Yeah. And I think in many cases, somebody had an experience, if it was negative, and they say, well, somebody pressured me. Somebody tried to sell me, meaning they tried to convince me. They weren't going to let me leave until I bought whatever it is that they were selling, let's say. Okay. And it could be a house, it could be a car, it could be a product or a service or whatever it might be. But again, because you had one bad experience, have you ever had a great experience? They say, well, I've had some great experiences too, but I remember that bad one,
Right.
and
The
it
way I
far
felt.
outweighs the
Yeah.
10 positive ones. And so, well, we have to reassure people that it was a bad experience, that somebody who didn't understand what sales really is, which is solving problems for people. So if I can help you, are you open to filling out this whole survey and letting me help you? And they go, well, absolutely. Could you survey other people with the nutrophysical? And they say, well, yeah, absolutely. And say, great, because it's all about learning about people and learning by listening. The three L's:
Mhm.
learn, listen, and love on people. And you say, oh, well, I would be willing to do that, and say, man, you're perfect for what we do. See, that's a great salesperson. So I kind of want to get everybody to really understand that, because ultimately there's nothing wrong with somebody saying I'm a salesperson. I'm proud of the fact that I've helped hundreds of thousands of people. And I know you are too, Dr. D.
Yeah.
But in the end, we don't view us as this high pressure, convincing person ever. See, so that's, to me, the line in the sand, right?
I agree. I love what you just said. I can't let us leave without people hearing something that you just said, which is, what about all of the other great experiences you have? Have you never had a good sales experience? Right? Are you just getting everything delivered to the door? Right? Because people will often, as Colin mentioned, focus on the way they felt during that bad experience, that less than optimal experience, but don't count the times they had a great experience. And I really want us to do that. Like, we do this a lot in weight management, where we remind people, you might have had a bad meal, you nailed 28 of the other ones over the month, right? And
Right.
we really need to, again, that's that kind of way that Colin has normalized the conversation, kind of laughed at himself a little bit, right? Because when I go over my history of shopping, I've had a couple of bad ones. I've had a lot of really great ones,
That's
and
right.
then we normalize it and we're making fun of some of those things.
And I will also say one last point on that, everyone, and that is, I feel like a lot of times when I found myself getting very long-winded, we call that puking on people. Okay, but you, a professional term is long-winded. But when you get in that position, it comes across very salesy. So if you're somebody who finds yourself talking too much, use a tool, learn about somebody. Then all of a sudden you find they are more than happy to fill out, more than happy to answer some questions because you're learning about it. And then you direct, then you make an, like, hey, I would recommend this. I'm going to recommend that. And now they're like, the whole experience shifted for the person because you made it more about learning about them. Then all of a sudden we found ourselves getting long-winded explaining every detail about our product or something that we're doing. And the person's like, man, you're talking way too much, which feels like you're really trying to sell me on this. See, so I think that's maybe a simple tip for everybody that may
I
help
love that.
everybody
That's
as
an
well. So
important one. That's an
yeah,
important one. You guys,
yeah, there you go.
some of the biggest conversations that come up around overcoming obstacles surround the what about product objections. Maybe you've got someone that is telling you that they're okay with sales, but they don't feel really comfortable with the knowledge. They don't feel really comfortable with this type of product, or they fear objections that they're going to get. Tonight, we're talking about obstacles. And many times people find themselves not gravitating towards this type of business, this helping business, this assisting people towards well-being, because they're afraid of the obstacles or objections that they're going to come up to. One of the number one Cullen objections I get, or questions really, there aren't any objections. But one of the questions that frequently comes up is, why would you put sugar in a health product? And if you'll give me a little bit of room to talk about this, because it's a big one,
Oh
and
yeah,
people need to feel
of course.
comfortable with this. So why? Ultimately, it's because they have a better, superior delivery system. It falls back, and this is a tip I have for you. Focus on something that the consumer already knows, that the new business owner already knows and agrees with. Again, much like Cullen said, you're not trying to convince anyone of anything. So isotonics, why did we put sugar in isotonics? Because isotonics are a rehydration drink. Rehydration drinks play an important role in restoring fluid balance, increasing absorption of essential nutrients. This is something that they already know. Things like an electrolyte drink, a Gatorade drink. What we're trying to do is, like Cullen said, we're trying to reduce the number of differences between us and remind them of the things that they already know, right? It's similar, but different. How is it different? Well, first off, Cullen, I'll often tell people, I understand what you're saying, sugar, but ultimately what we've done is we've put carbohydrates in this, because carbohydrates work in the body by pulling nutrients with them. And that's one of the reasons why isotonics are as powerful as they are, because they're able to pull nutrients with them, but also move nutrients from the stomach into the small intestine very, very quickly. It's one of the ways the body is able to absorb additional water, additional electrolytes. Electrolytes, you guys, are also nutrients. What's true for an electrolyte is true for a nutrient, is true for a vitamin, a mineral, a botanical. The most common sugars in rehydration drinks are glucose, fructose, dextrose. They are responsible for nutrient uptake in the body. Sugars, carbohydrates are responsible. It is their primary goal to pull nutrients from the small intestine and into the bloodstream. And so, like I said, this isn't just true for electrolyte drinks. This is true for mineral balance, vitamin balance. So the sugars are here, right? First off, we call them carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are here to assist how quickly something moves from the stomach and into the small intestine, right? It is how nutrients are actually pulled into the body with the assistance of sugars to do that, with the assistance of food sugars, food glucose, food fructose, food dextrose. This is something that is the body can appreciate. One of the things that's important is that to point out is, and the reason why we did this, quick movement into the small intestine for absorption, is how the body naturally works. Carbohydrates are responsible for nutrients being pulled into the bloodstream. And then you already know this. It's the same way a rehydration drink worked for your child, right? It's the same way an athletic rehydration drink works when you are on the gym floor or on the court in the basketball. What's interesting is that supplements that don't have this type of principle have less potential for nutrient uptake, because it's actually the carbohydrates that pull nutrients into the bloodstream. It's actually these sugars that lead to intestinal activity in the gut. So it means that nutrients also don't sit in the intestine for too long, but get pulled into the circulation. These intestinal cells enhance, because of carbohydrates, nutrient transport in the body. Delivery of nutrients go directly into circulation. Okay, thanks for giving me the time to talk about that.
That is absolutely amazing. And here's what I will add to that. I will say to somebody, listen, I am not a scientist, I am not a doctor, and I've never even played one in a sitcom, not a doctor. So here is what I want you to know. You filled out the health survey. And in the health survey, it said they checked off a few boxes on the top of the health survey. You come to the bottom. Is there any reason you would not be willing to try a product that could address one of the concerns that you checked off up top? And they say no. But then we start talking and they start looking at an ingredient and they say, oh, you got some, you got some of this sugar in the isotonics. And I just say, yeah. And why do you put that there? And say, because you want results. Don't you? I thought you really wanted help. And they go, well, I do. And I go, it's going to help you. It's going to absorb faster. And this is like super simple, you guys. I'm just like, I love that Dr. Deedra can drill down on this for all of us and go, I'm going to tell you guys exactly, because some of you on the line are like, I need to know what Deedra just told me. And then you have the Cullen Haskins of the world who are like, listen, I need to keep this thing so simple in my little brain to know that I'm going to use the tool, because without using a tool, then I am a tool and I never want to be a tool. But then also, I am also wanting to position things to where it's duplicatable. And I say, if you don't like feeling how you're feeling right now, then, and you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, I mean, I know you don't know this yet, but see, I know something you don't know, and you're going to have to trust me. So if you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, we're going to be able to get you some results by taking isotonic nutrition. Would you be willing to give ours a shot?
Right.
And they say, yeah. And I say, awesome, high five. And then we're off to the races.
Well, I love that because Cullen's making a really important point about duplication, about keeping it simple, because you wanted results. Those carbohydrates are going to help you get those results. And for every person that says, I need to see the proof, you always get to say, we have an incredible science team within the company. Because I also will tell you, Cullen, my experience is a lot of like what we talked about earlier about legitimacy. What's my potential cost, my expenses? We're reading between the lines. Something that really creates a sense of legitimacy and trust is making sure that they know who they could talk to at the company that could help them get their questions answered as well. And it takes a lot of the weight off of a business owner to know that they don't have to know every question or the answer to every question.
And I absolutely love that part as well. And I'm always saying that, folks. We had a home business presentation here tonight. I'm in Charlotte, working with some Go Now and franchise owners. I think we had probably 18 guests at the house tonight. The house, it was standing room only. Unbelievable. But
Fantastic.
Everybody's filling out a home shopping list. Who's there? And we turn it into a game, and they're going to check off the boxes, because I'm going to show them. My whole goal is this: are you spending the money anyways? And if you're spending the money anyways on items, and so what happens is, folks, the minimum was 15, the highest people were 52, 57, 40. And it was funny because the 15 were the single people, young single people.
Right.
And then the 50 to 60, like checking off the boxes, were like the married couples in the room. And I said, that's how it always is, but then I give out prizes and make it fun. But now we're going to show you. Then I go to the one who does like 57 products, and I say, okay, you're 57. Now what you're going to do is tonight, we're going to have you order all 57. And then everybody in the room starts laughing. They're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, I'm joking. We're going to pick out one or two, and we're going to get you results on those. And then you're going to know other products that you would then be interested in, because those first few worked for you. And I love it with the health survey the same way, Dr. Deedra, because in the end, they fill it out and they're already leading us by friends and family. They're already thinking and building a names list off of possibilities of people we could still help with the same health survey, to then say, if there was one thing you could change about your health, what would it be? And then the people are like, man, it's so awesome. You really care about getting me results on a product. And we do. We
Yeah,
do. And
I
that is a great
absolutely
salesperson.
agree. And as you're talking, believe me, that is happening. Names are going through their head. People that they know, people that they care about, people that they want to help is absolutely going through their head. And you can often ask, did this make you think of anyone? And you'll catch them because they're like, yes, Aunt Betty, right? And they don't know if they should give a name, but they are, and you go, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. And they're like, yeah, okay, right. You're absolutely right, Colin. Right.
That's
And
it. That's it.
that's one of the very powerful things when we talk about, are the products worth their value? Is the business going to be productive for me? Am I going to achieve kind of the goals that I have to have? And you've got your 3 L's, I've got my 3 P's, right? It's purity, process, and proof. You want to be working with a company that understands sourcing, right? That's that purity factor. Process, you can have the best of ingredients, but if you don't handle them properly, you don't do something to make sure that you extract the very best compounds, right? Then that process failed in supplementation. That's the power of isotonics. It's the power of our clinically evidenced ingredients. And then proof. That could be the clinically evidenced ingredients, or it could be a credible source of information. Our science team, the directors with our company, right? What people are looking for is legitimacy. They want to understand their skin in the game, and they want to feel good about the people that they're working with.
100%. All right. One last dual topic that I think we can hit. We got enough time. So here is, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money. I'm not sure if I have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. And all of this. And all I will say about that, folks, is, have I done a great enough job explaining to the people that this is 10 hours a week? It's a part-time business, not a spare time business, but what the potential is with the business of changing people's lives and earning a great supplemental income so we can have time and financial flexibility. If I haven't done a great job of this, well, I don't have the money and I don't have the time. It's like, okay, what could I have said differently in order to position things for that objection or question not to come up for the person? Because at the end of the day, if you're willing to give it a shot, if you're willing to go out and survey some people, and with us, and we survey 10 people, and we get 6 or 7 that want products, you'd be crazy not to do, be crazy not to take you on this. Well, I don't have the money. Great. I'm going to help you sell your way in. I've been looking for somebody just like you that we can help and we can bless, right? So you got to know how to flip it, but not do it in what I would call an unprofessional manner of, like, I think sometimes people say, well, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money. Well, that's exactly why you should do the business.
Right.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, for me, it's very forward, and it could be condescending if they don't receive it the right way. So I think it's great to look in the mirror on some of this folks and say, where could I have done better in my positioning to where that wall was already coming? So they don't, if the wall's down, they're never going to say those things, you see?
I love that. It's one of the easiest things for us to do is to say that we don't have the time, right? Because we seek comfort as human beings. We seek comfort, we seek routine. And that's why I love the way Colin asks about, what are you actually looking for? I thought you said, and this is a little in your face there, but like you said that you wanted results. Right now, that probably wouldn't be my answer to no time and no money, right? It would be, it would be something along the lines of what Colin's talking about, what is it that we think we can commit to, right? What would be that step that we can commit to? No one has to do everything all at once. We're just trying to talk about how to start on your forefront, or your forefoot, not your back foot, right?
That's right. Yeah, if you could find a couple hours a week and you could help lead me to the right people, because folks, you have the people, you have the connections, but we have the experience. We know how to build this business. We know how to help people with products, and we know how to get people paid. So we can trust each other. We should spend some time together. The other one that I'll hit on too is, what if you have somebody who's very, very successful? We had a couple people here tonight already very successful. Well, why would they be evaluating? Well, they're evaluating because it's not about them. It's about helping other people in the community have what they have, which is financially they're doing well. But because financially they're doing well, they have some time flexibility, you see. So those people want to help people have what they have. but they don't have a vehicle to help them get there. And we do with the unfranchised. And yet they already believe in themselves. They recognize our opportunities, successful people, and they lead to other people that mentally want to be successful, but haven't found the right vehicle, and we can help everybody. So just know that as you guys are out making things happen. Dr. Deedra, any closing comments here?
It's been so much fun to do this. It's important that we have open and transparent conversations about falling down and getting back up. I think my closing comments are, you're going to get bruises, right? You're going to have a difficult, awkward conversation. And the very best thing to do is to ask yourself, what lesson did I learn from that? What virtue did I acquire?
100%. And you know what? At the end of the day, you guys, if you say I am practicing and practicing makes progress, and the only reason why Cullen and Dr. Deedra on here with me tonight, regurgitating stuff out so simply, is because we've practiced a lot and we've made a lot of mistakes over the years and going, okay, I should reframe that a little bit better. Some of my meaning was really great. Some of it I was like,
Yeah.
Rewind. I should have done that a little different. Whatever. We've all done it. It's okay.
Love on them and love on yourself, because you're gonna,
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Take action, have fun, learn to laugh at yourself, debrief with your teammates, talk about what happened and say, you know what, they say, hey, I would have tweaked this, I would have tweaked that. Super important. And go on appointments together sometimes. A lot of times you go on an appointment together with somebody and they notice you saying something or doing, and they're like, why are you saying that? This makes no sense. That's turning them off, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm saying it that way, So listen, we have to learn to laugh at ourselves. Yeah, so, but take action. That's it. Take action, you guys. Take it to the top. We can't wait to see every single one of you at Leadership School. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Tonight is a special session, hitting it off at 9 p.m. tonight with Mark Ashley, our COO, and Kevin Buckman. Both of them are going to be on tonight. So make sure you guys are on at 9 p.m. tonight to be on with those guys. Everything you need to know about Leadership School. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And we look forward to seeing you guys in person there. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night.